Welcome back. There's no doubt we now live in a startup economy, but our next guest has flipped that world completely around. Startups usually come to the table with innovative ideas, looking for a big established company to fund them. But what if it were the other way around? The established company comes and pitches the startup. Michael Goldstein is the founder of Switchpitch, where big companies pitch their problems to startups who might be able to solve the problems with innovative solutions. Michael Goldstein, welcome to Washington Business Report. So explain to us how Switchpitch works.
So it's a role reversal event where instead of startups going pitching investors, pitching for business development, the large companies find projects that are internal, nice to have projects that they may or may not get to, and they outsource them to the startup community.
So it's almost like those speed dating sites where you go and you have lunch at each different table, but this time you're bringing them all together, both in person and online. So let's start. There's two different ways they can do it. Either the big company can be looking for a solution that's already out there, they just need to find the right match, the right date, or they're looking for someone to create and innovate on their behalf. So let's start with the example of when you bring together a company that is looking for that innovation that's already out there. How does it work?
So a lot of times the market just decides. So they know that they have a problem. They don't know if the technology exists or if the innovation exists or not. So they put it out there to an audience of startups and they describe the details of the project, the budgets, all of the intricacies of what would be involved in working with them.
So give us a real world solution of where this has happened.
Okay, so Havas Worldwide, big advertising agency, presented at our New York event, and they needed a marketing dashboard for their clients to analyze the work that they're doing. And so they wanted a platform where the clients could log in, see how their campaigns are going, and they just didn't have an easy, good solution for that problem, which would really benefit their clients.
So how'd you find it for them?
So they presented it at Switchpitch in New York, and there was a startup in the audience called Signal that specialized in marketing dashboards, and it really worked well for this. So the solution existed, it was just that Havas had never been aware of it. And so the two sides were able to connect. They actually used our online platform. So we have a platform that asks specific questions about each of the projects that are presented. And after the event, startups can go onto our platform, answer the specific questions, and then the presenting company uses our platform to vet or figure out which startup is the best fit.
So there a match was made. They've lived happily ever after.
So far, so good.
So now let's take it to a big established company needs something to be created.
Right.
How do they use Switchpitch to make that happen?
Okay, so instead of saying we need X that does Y, specifically they need, or we just need, they leave it open. It's more broad, and they just say we need something, you know, that is going to accomplish this goal.
Give us a real world example there.
So Assurant, which is a large insurance company, they are in the consumer electronics warranty business, but they didn't have an easy way if someone buys consumer electronics at retail for that product to be entered into their system. So they needed an app that could take a picture of the receipt from a consumer electronics purchase, and then that would initiate the warranty process for them to cover. And so based on their presentation, there was no app that did specifically that, and so it was a custom development job where a startup called CodeLit, which was just a few people for this project, they were just 2 people big when this project was presented in October of 2013. And what happened was the original project went so well that Assurant ended up expanding the relationship. CodeLit came back to our next event in Miami. By that time, the deal had been expanded to a much, much bigger deal because they had done so well with the original project. And now they had 8 people, and they had a Miami office, and you know, it really was a game changer for the startup.
So you're doing this nationwide. We learned about you through our entrepreneurial mentor, Josh Fry, the swag coach.
He's got eyes everywhere.
He knows everything, he knows everyone, and he told us about this. You are a local guy, born and raised, College Park, Maryland.
Yeah.
You're a serial entrepreneur. You've had companies where you had Magazine of the Month. You had companies where you would bundle, say, Netflix subscription with a free DVD player, and then Netflix would pay you. And you realized that this was a need that hadn't been met. So how did you go from this light bulb moment to bringing Switchpitch into fruition?
So with the last business that I had, the last startup where we had the Netflix subscriptions, we were constantly trying to partner with large e-commerce companies, so the Best Buys of the world, to get them to incorporate our subscription platform into their business. And it was incredibly challenging and time-consuming to find the right contact internally. I mean, these are gigantic companies. Yeah. And then you often find out that it's not the right time, it's not the right person, it's not the right project, and so it leads to a dead end. Well, if you're a startup with limited resources, you don't have the luxury of time. You need to kind of cut to the chase. And so that's what ended up happening with Switchpitch. We were presenting some startups that we work with to local big companies. We have a portfolio of startups that we've invested in, and the big companies would say, that's neat, you have a few little companies that you're working with, but what we really need is this.
And there it is. No, we've got to cut to the chase. So now Switchpitch, you've got events coming up in Los Angeles where Disney, Warner Brothers, HP are going to be presenting, New York City, a DC event in November, or people can go online if they can't go to the actual event?
All of our projects, we take a video of the presentation, we take the PowerPoint that is presented at the project, we list them on switchpitch.com, and anybody can go in, look at the project directory, and if they're a good fit, they can apply, and the large company will review the details of their submission.
Michael Goldstein, great idea.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Washington Business Report. Stay with us. We'll have much more after the break.
Oh, yeah.